is going on, my fellow movie nerds and geeks alike? You clicked the thumbnail, so you know what we're diving into today. We are going to be talking about the Giallo films of Mr. Aldo Lado. Now, this all started when I picked up a copy of the Night Train Murders from Aldo Lado at a recent convention. And we checked it out and we thought, wow, this is pretty much a rip-off of Last House on the Left. It involves like two girls on a train going to visit family, and they both are assaulted and viciously, horrendously murdered, and then eventually the family comes across the killers and just gets revenge on them. Yeah, it is Last House on the Left to a T. Much like a lot of Italian cinema of the time, they were just kind of taking American movies and just remaking them essentially in an Italian vision. I did discover that Aldo Lado directed a few Giallo films, so we can dive into those and add them to our tier list like we've been doing. Now, the Black Glove Killer himself did catch wind of us checking out Night Train Murders and was kind enough to leave us a package and letter sitting on our doorstep containing two great Aldo Lado Giallo films. He left us a little note to read with the movies, so let's dive into what he's got to say.
Dearest Bill, I saw that you watched Night Train Murders from the great Aldo Lado. But don't let the internet trick you. That was no Giallo. A great film nonetheless, but I had nothing to do with that. It's just Last House on the Left, on a train. Grisly and heinous, yes, but Giallo? Not a chance. I brought you his actual Giallo film since you're interested in the man. Brilliant stuff. I had a crew of fellow killers in one, and I was wearing some crazy outfits in the other. Trippy, metaphorical, and twisted. You can talk about them in one of your stupid videos, as your lovely Victoria so bluntly put it last time I popped by. It's some of my best work, and I can't wait to hear your thoughts. I'll see you two lovebirds soon. Love, your pal, the Black Glove Killer.
Thank you, Mr. Black Glove Killer. You are much appreciated in this house, even though you scare the crap out of Vicky sometimes. Now, Aldo Lado did not get his start as a director. He was essentially a writer and assistant director working on other people's films, but when two people dropped out of Short Night of Glass Dolls, he stepped in and took over the director's chair. Now, these aren't the only two Giallo films he made. He made a couple TV Giallo movies in the 80s and made one again in the 90s, but they weren't as well known or prolific as the two we're going to discuss today. He had a great, long-winded career, man. He even made a Star Wars ripoff at one point. Check out some of our other Giallo videos. We have a huge playlist on our channel where I break down what a Giallo film is almost every single time. I think we've reached a point where I don't need to do that anymore, but check out those other videos to see how we got this tier list to where it is today. And I'm going to preface this video with, there will be spoilers. There are a couple elements in these films that just cannot be talked about without spoiling, so if you do not want them spoiled, click out now. But in my humble opinion, these films are so visually stunning and beautiful that it doesn't really matter that you know what's coming. They are just a joy to watch, just based on the scenery, the score, and everything that comes along with them. Now, the first film we are going to talk about today is Aldo Lado's directorial debut, 1971's Short Night of Glass Dolls. Greg Moore, an American journalist who is visiting Prague with his girlfriend, is found dead. However, he's actually only temporarily paralyzed, but the coroner fails to realize this and proceeds to prepare him for autopsy. While Moore awaits his doom, he tries to recollect what has happened to him. It all starts when his girlfriend had disappeared. He asks his friend, a local journalist, for help. They discover that this was just the latest in a series of disappearances of young pretty girls in the area. Their investigation leads them to a strange, high-profile private club whose affluent members practice odd ritualistic orgies and bizarre dark rites. That is Short Night of Glass Dolls in a nutshell. It is a very interesting and unique take on the Giallo genre. You do not have your classically Black Glove Killer. You actually have like a group of rich, high-profile like politicians and just people in the government working to essentially steal the youthful energy of young people looking to spread their wings and get away from Prague. So they're essentially taking that like youthful energy and absorbing it themselves to stay alive, stay young at heart. And what's also really interesting about this one is that it plays out primarily in flashback. So like the film opens up and Gene Sorel, our lead actor, who looks a lot like Franco Nero, I might add, is found dead in a park. But what we see is his dead body, but through his voiceover, we can hear him talking. He is not actually dead, as the plot described. He is talking to himself, talking to the people, but they don't hear him, they don't see him talking. He is just in his own head, paralyzed there, saying like, I'm not dead, I'm not dead. What a fucking nightmare. Even in the morgue, when the doctors are looking at him, they're so confused. He doesn't have rigor mortis. How is this guy dead? It doesn't make any sense. But in his own head, he is trying to figure out how he got here, how he ended up dead, or, well, in this case, paralyzed. So while he's in the morgue, we're constantly reliving through flashback what led him to this point. It starts out when his girlfriend disappears. She is a young girl just looking to get out of Prague, and she just disappears one day. So it becomes like a kind of investigative journalistic piece where Gene Sorel and his buddies at the newspaper are trying to figure out what the hell is going on. Where did his girlfriend go? It doesn't make sense. And it all stemmed from when they went to this high-profile party and all these weird, rich, higher-up people were talking to her. So they go through a web of crazy, crazy people trying to figure out what happened to her. And all the while, we are also going back to the morgue. So you're constantly being reminded that, like, hey, this is a flashback, and Gene Sorel is lying here in this morgue. Aside from Gene Sorel, who is a Giallo stalwart, he's been in plenty of other Giallo works, we also get Barbara Bach, who is also a sweetheart of the genre. And like I said, there's no black glove killer. It's more of an investigative journalist approach into a bizarro cult, using beautiful freedom asylum seekers to sap them of their youthful energy. It's very trippy, man, like super, super weird and bizarre, especially in the camera work. Like, it trips you out. Almost like Fulci's Lizard in a Woman's Skin, where like the camera is just like tripping you out like a fucking bizarro acid trip. It is awesome, very visually stunning. The bizarro cult and like all these young women looking for freedom and asylum almost served as like an awesome metaphor for like the Iron Curtain policies of this area at the time. Like, they didn't want freedom, they didn't want nothing. So you could look at it that way as well. It's almost like the Fifth Chord meets James Bond kind of vibes. There's so many amazing shadows and beautiful shot composition, and that psychedelic camera work, man, it is just beautiful. Ennio Morricone is aided by Bruno Nicolai on the score. It is beautiful. You know, if Ennio's attached, that score is going to be amazing and just, It may be relatively bloodless as a film, but it's very interesting and thought-provoking. It's just, what a nightmare scenario to be stuck in. Imagine being in a morgue and no one could hear you talking. You're just trapped in your body. It's almost like being paralyzed, or like, shit, if you're like a drug user, like being trapped in like some fucking nightmare K-hole, dude.
Bruh.
There's lots of quirky characters, very oddball scenarios. There's this strange butterfly and musical orchestra symbolism, which I guess like almost is like a butterfly's wings being clipped. Like, they don't want you to get freedom. And the musical orchestra thing is very weird. Like, all these people get lulled into like this trance and they almost look dead. It's crazy. Lots of cool locations. Like I said, it is visually stunning, as well as having just like a gripping investigation that you are super invested in. You want Gene Sorel to figure out how he ended up here, and you so desperately want to know what happened to Barbara Bach. There is one character in the film that is just so weird, and I just don't understand her placement at all, and it is Jessica. She is like a fellow journalist alongside Gene Sorel, who's like helping him, but like she almost solely exists to just be a nightmare. She doesn't add anything to the story. She is constantly complaining that Gene Sorel doesn't like love her. Jesus Christ. If I saw one more hair bonnet that her hair was put in, oh my god, like, what are you doing, lady? The middle of the film is a bit of a slog, but the beautiful cinematography and crazy story just keeps you invested. It is a wild ending. we see Gene Sorel finally coming into this room where he's finally going to get autopsied on. Is he actually dead? But he's brought into this room and all these people are sitting in a circle watching him about to be operated on. And he's finally starting to come to. You see his hand twitch and he doesn't make it. This group of rich, like, aristocratic people, like I said, are just taking these young women looking for freedom and just sapping their energy through, like, this dark, weird, ritualistic practice. And we get a glimpse of this, like, room where people are wearing all this dark rites type of fucking clothing and, like, headdresses. And all these old people are just, like, having sex with each other while these young women are laying on this weird bed. It is fucking trippy and so weird. Once Gene Sorel and his fellow journalists got too close, they get wiped out themselves. And because Gene Sorel was orchestrating all this, figuring out, trying to uncover all this stuff, he is the one they paralyzed because they wanted him to suffer. I loved how original and unique this film felt. It's freed from the shackles of the tropes of Giallo films, but it feels so right at home in the genre as well. It is just such a joy to watch it unfold, and the cinematography is just gorgeous, so you will love watching it regardless of knowing how it comes out. This one, for sure, thank you Aldo Lado, feature film debut, man, and it's going right in the good tier. Fantastic film. And next up, we are going to be talking about 1972's Who Saw Her Die? A young girl is brutally murdered somewhere in France. Sometime later, the same thing happens to the daughter of a well-known sculptor. This time, the parents, the sculptor and his wife, start investigating, and soon find they are in way over their head. Meanwhile, the body count keeps rising as the killer now starts butchering all those who find out too much. This is a wild one. Right off the bat, it deals with child murder, which, as we know in the horror genre, is almost like a faux pas, almost like a, whoa, you don't kill kids, man. But it is beautiful. I must say, much like Short Night of Glass Dolls, Aldo Lado and his team of cinematographers really make Venice look beautiful, and all the corridors and stuff just really play into this crazy web of intricate labyrinth of places for all these people to visit while trying to figure out who is killing all these little girls and all the people that are figuring out what is going on. This one stars George Lazenby, who, if you are a film fan, you will notice that name because he was James Bond in On Her Majesty's Secret Service. Yes, the single-serving James Bond. Only played him once, and I will say, it is crazy seeing him in this lead role. He lost like 35 pounds to play this character, and it is bizarro seeing him with a mustache, man. It's like James Bond is clean cut, but here he is just like your classic beatnik artist. It's awesome. And genre stalwart Anita Strindberg plays his estranged wife, who they are not really together, but they are. It's kind of weird. She's not really in the movie all that much, but great to see her nonetheless. Who Saw Her Die is obviously a catalyst for Nicholas Roeg's Don't Look Now, but rather than focusing on the effects of grief and trauma like Don't Look Now does, this one focuses on the investigation into the daughter's murder, rather than all that psychological stuff that Roeg's film does. The Venice location obviously feeds into that comparison as well. They're very similar films, but tonally completely different. But hard not to draw that comparison, right? It's a great mystery, man. It's a believable story of Lazenby just like becoming enveloped with the investigation. Like, who the hell killed my daughter? And like, holy shit, who is involved in all this stuff? I think it's great that the black glove killer is almost very unique in this one. He is wearing gloves and he is using like, you know, blades to dispatch all his victims, but he's wearing like these weird knitted gloves and like female like frills coming out of his shirt, but he's also wearing a black veil over his face. And the killer is also wearing these like weird like heeled shoes. Like most Giallo films, it plays into that red herring lore. Like, this has got to be a female killer, right? Just beautiful, leads into many red herrings as the film plays out. Ennio Morricone once again provides a brilliant score, this time opting for a cool inclusion of children singing, providing like a spooky chorus sound anytime the killer is around. It's just a huge tangled web of red herrings involving shady art dealers, a secret love child who just so happens to be like crippled, lawyer orgies, fencing athletes, imposter priests, and a man with a penchant for bird collecting. Lots of birds. Yes, this is a dark storyline involving like dead children and people trying to figure out why this is happening. But boy, are the characters quirky as all hell. So it almost like adds like a comedic effect. And that's why we love these films, right? It's pretty violent. Some of the deaths are brutal and bloody. One of the ladies inside a movie theater, holy shit, that was awesome. And surrounded by all those people, woo! And there's some decently sleazy moments as well, which, you know, Giallo is known for. Great twists, lots of red herrings like I said. Venice is a beautiful backdrop and offers a labyrinth of shadows, spooky corridors for our characters to weave our mystery through. Stunning, stunning cinematography, much like Aldo Lado's work has already shown us. And I'm sorry, was that a gondola hearse carrying our dead girl? I've never seen anything like that. Fucking awesome, man. I mean, it is Venice after all, so why wouldn't the hearses be on gondola? Bruh. The ending left a little to be desired. It's a little too out there for me and not connected to the story enough. It's still interesting for sure, and of course it's gonna involve some fucking weird, like, imposter priest. God damn it, why do they always make the fucking Catholic Church look so crazy? I guess because most of the time, they actually are. And that ending, man. What an all-time dummy drop. And this time the dummy drop involves someone being on fire. The middle lags a bit, but it's nothing too terribly slow that takes you out of the film. Like I said, much like Short Night of Glass Dolls, Who Saw Her Die is just beautifully shot. Shot composition, amazing corridors that Venice provides, just offer beautiful imagery for you to just immerse yourself in. And you are just so invested in George Lazenby trying to figure out who killed his daughter, man. It is awesome. And just like all those crazy characters, dude, everyone is a suspect. I loved Who Saw Her Die and Short Night of Glass Dolls, going right into the good tier. Amazing, amazing film, and if you're a fan of the Giallo genre, these two are just must-sees in my opinion. I think they are gorgeous and just offer so much visually and storytelling-wise that you just have to see them. Alright guys, so that is our Giallo tier list video for Aldo Lado's very famous Giallo films, Who Saw Her Die and Short Night of Glass Dolls. Great films that you just have to check out if you're a fan of the Giallo. I'm only upset that it took me so long to check them out, but thankfully, thanks to our good buddy, the Black Glove Killer, he provided me these films and I finally was able to add them to our tier list for you guys today. Which, obviously, like I said earlier, go check out that playlist of all our other videos to find out what exactly a Giallo film is and how we got this tier list to where it is today. Thank you so much for watching our silly little videos that we always do. We love you all and appreciate any view that we get on this channel, so thank you so much once again. Always remember, the horrors persist, but so do we. I'll see you guys next time. Adios.